They had us in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. The PlayStation Showcase was late Thursday night and was pretty damn good. It started off extremely well and sort of faded to a what is this? But then really jumped back with a bang once they focused on the exclusively PlayStation side of things. That just left me saying, yo! To be honest, that's the best way to do it. Ended on the most quality titles and let the hype and appreciation build. The first announcement right out of the gate was crazy. The rumored KOTOR remake is real. Aspyr is making it, and it's a console exclusive to the PS5. Naturally, being a channel that started with Star Wars, and of course, myself being a big fan of the recent Star Wars games, I'm excited. Never played the originals by BioWare, so I know absolutely nothing, other than many people from all different walks of life are excited about the remake and praise the original. So I'm just happy to get a great game that, to me, will be fresh. Next game appeared, and I won't lie, it looked kinda generic at first, but when they started speaking Korean, it piqued my interest. I'm learning the language right now, so I'm biased, but that kept my attention. I'm glad it did, because the combat looked smooth, the action seemed frantic, the characters were sexy, and the setting got progressively more interesting. The enemies are a bit iffy and generic, I won't lie, but I'm curious nonetheless. I'm happy Korean games finally have an opportunity to start growing on the world stage, and truly hope to see some bangers come out of the country that has done so well in music, film, and TV recently. TakeTwo, more like TakeTwo massive L's, damn, was their showy bad at the showcase. Man, how far they've fallen in these years. This goes to show, if you can make a shit ton of money with low effort projects, it's likely the rest of your endeavors will suffer. I just feel bad for anyone who works there anymore. What I imagine was once a place of creativity and the top of the industry is now just a husk that seems to destroy spirits across all aspects it's involved in. Far cry from what it once was. First, D&D Borderlands. I imagine it's not what the core audience for Borderlands would want, and I never found Borderlands all too entertaining myself, so this was an extra snooze fest for me personally. The art style just doesn't mesh as well as it could have with the fantasy elements they're introducing, and the gameplay doesn't look too innovative on either the Borderlands FPS front or the D&D board game front. Next is the GTA 5, expanded, enhanced, and especially funny that anyone at Rockstar thought this was a good trailer or product for the fact to drop it in the big PlayStation showcase. This game is a joke and has been ever since online turned into a cesspool of microtransactions. Don't take my word for it though, take it from someone who has 8,000 hours speedrunning the game. Fun fact, 8,000 hours is more than a year. Dark Viper AU is one of the biggest GTA 5 speedrunners and knows the game as well as the workings of Rockstar far better than I do. So I'll leave you with his video, Rockstar is a joke. And that should basically tell you everything you need to know. Deathloop probably has one too many trailers now, but fair enough since it is coming out soon. It looks cool and I enjoyed Dishonored, so naturally, I can't wait to watch my favorite creators play it and then move on from there. Square always does this. They have an interesting character and setting at first, then they send that character into a somewhat boring story in a way less interesting setting, with, I have to admit, some cool hook to gameplay. Forspoken has its movement, but I think that's about it. The only reason I mention it is because Janina Gavankar, Iron Versio, is playing the baddie we see at the end of the trailer. So that intrigues me. Ubisoft is still making Tom Clancy games. This one isn't as interesting as their take on the Division franchise, so I won't really care and would remind you how awful it was for people to work there. Ubisoft, under the constant fear of sexual abuse and that true justice was never handed out. Ghostwire Tokyo still looks very interesting to me, as it has since the first time we saw it. The gameplay seems to have some unique twists on the first-person movement and combat genre, also like Dishonored, and I did like the integration of Japanese mythology, I think that is the right word, that I recognized. Overall, the atmosphere and mechanics are interesting enough to have their hooks in me, and I'll probably pick it up as soon as I can. The Guardians of the Galaxy game looks like a worse version of the movies in terms of storytelling and characters, and gameplay looks like a worse version of your top ability-based action-adventure RPGs. As such, I let out a massive sigh every time I see it. It looks like it's operating at like a 20% deficit of the quality it should be, and that just frustrates me and makes me probably too harsh on it, more than that is probably justified. Once they busted out the PlayStation only section of the show, that's when things went wild. What a great strategy. Have a remake of an especially popular game open the show. Fill the rest of the middle with new games you think will appeal to many different audiences. Bury the stinkers in between them and throw support for some, but not too many, indies to round out that last of the midsection. Then blow everyone away with the show's best games that also belong to you. Power move from the Chads at PlayStations, no doubt. What can I say? Insomniac are on fire right now, and while I don't care much for Ratchet & Clank, you can't deny that it was a massive success. Right after the massive success of their launch title for the PS5, Miles Morales, which itself was a pseudo sequel to the PS4's most anticipated and highest received superhero game in Spider-Man, which itself was one of, if not the biggest superhero games in the world. All these games are of immense quality, so handing them the reins to another hugely popular Marvel character is a stroke of genius and the most obvious move simultaneously. The only thing that concerned me was what this meant for the future of the Spider-Man franchise that Insomniac had so beautifully built. Turns out I was worried for nothing, because in another power move, Insomniac said, don't worry, somehow we have 1 million high-level employees because Spider-Man 2 is in fact coming, and the only price is waiting until 2023. God, I'm so excited. 2018 Spider-Man was the last game I got super hyped for. The only other game I actively looked forward to, or should I say am looking forward to, is Lost Judgment, which comes out in a couple of weeks. Gran Turismo and God of War look like they will bring the quality that is expected of them. Hey, that's the best thing I could have hoped for. Expectations for them are unusually high compared to most standards across the industry, but from what we saw, they are meeting those expectations, and the general consensus is, that's amazing. These games promise to be some of the most fun, impressive, and highly budgeted games out there, living up to the sky-high expectations Sony manages to set. With Sony's backing, the games seem to be on track to do what everyone wants and meet those expectations, and from what I've seen, people couldn't be happier. I really like God of War, not as much as the critical reception, but I'm easily able to rub that off. I've seen some people get hung up on the fact that others really like the game they only like, but I really don't care. As long as it's as fun as the first or more, I'll be one happy camper, even if other people enjoyed way more than I do. Hey, good for them, good for them. Sony's showcase got me the most excited this year compared to all other gaming shows we've had this year. Hopefully this indicates a somewhat return to normalcy, especially after the you know what is starting to calm down and developers are slowly returning to their feet and settling in to this new generation.
Still feeling tough?